everyone. Thanks for joining us today for the next chapter of Secret in the Woods. Let's get started with the story. I thought about Terry's mother as I helped my aunt the next day. I thought about her words the night before. God forgive me, she had said. Of course God would forgive her if she really wanted him to. Yes, she had stolen the apples, but this was just evidence that she was like every other person. She was a sinner, a lost sheep, and the Good Shepherd was looking for her. Perhaps I should tell her about the Good Shepherd because he would look after both her and Terry, and she could ask him for milk and blankets for Terry. When I finished my work, I hurried upstairs to see if Philip was ready to go visit Terry yet. There I found Philip with the contents of our money box spread out on the floor. "We have almost $9, he said, almost enough for a camera. But, we could give $2 to Terry for milk, and we'd still almost have enough for a camera, and we could just save a little longer before we get it." "Oh, I don't think we need to give him that much," I cried. $1 should be enough." "Well," Philip said, not convinced, "let's think about it on the way, and we'll take the whole box with us." We set off on the trail that led to Terry's house. I carried my Bible, and Philip carried the money box. Terry's mother met us on the way. She wanted to talk to us without Terry hearing her. We sat down under a tree, and I began talking first. I told Terry's mother about the Good Shepherd and read from my Bible about Jesus. I gave her my picture to keep and told her that if she would ask him, the Good Shepherd would forgive her for being bad, just as he had forgiven Philip and me. While I was talking to her, a thought came into my mind. The Good Shepherd, Jesus, had given his life for the sheep. And I didn't want to give more than $1? If only I had thought of that earlier. I would have told Philip, go ahead and give him $2. But Philip was already unfastening the money box. Terry's mother was watching with big eyes. "We brought you some money," Philip said, "to buy some milk and things for Terry. It's not very much, but it's all we've got." And with that, he dumped all the money in her apron. "Oh, thank you, little lady and little man," Terry's mother said. There were tears in her eyes. Philip and I walked on in silence. Then he whispered, "Ruth, I hope you don't mind me giving all the money to Terry's mother. Terry's more important than any camera." I reached out and squeezed Philip's hand. This was exactly how I was feeling too. The next time we saw Terry, he seemed to be worse. He was so discouraged, and we couldn't blame him. Lying in the hot, cheerless cabin all day was no fun. I thought of Terry and how he used to climb trees and run and jump. It seemed terrible to see him suffer like this. We didn't stay long because Terry seemed to want to be alone that day. I think he knew that he would never walk again. He told us that he'd overheard the doctors say there was nothing else they could do for him. "They thought I didn't hear," Terry said, "but I did, and now I know the truth." I thought a lot about Terry and that maybe he would be better someday. Philip must have thought about it too, for as we walked home that day, he said to me, "Do you still pray every day that Terry will get well, Ruth?" "No," I answered. "It seems like he's getting worse. Maybe it isn't God's plan to make him well. God could do a miracle and heal him if he wanted to, "Well, it's not just Terry's being sick that bothers me," Philip continued. "It's that awful little house. It's so hot and dark. Oh, and it smells so bad. There's nothing for him to look at all day long." I agreed, but there was nothing else for Terry to do. He didn't want to go to the hospital because he wouldn't get to see us or his mother if he was there. We were talking so intently that we almost bumped into someone coming out of the walkway as we got to the back door of our house. It was Terry's mother. Her eyes were red and we knew she'd been crying. We hurried in because we knew she didn't want us to see her looking this way. My aunt said nothing to us about Terry's mom's visit. But the next day, Aunt Margaret went into town for the whole day. Philip and I were left to run the house. I was the chief cook, and it was fun, except I burned the pudding. When my aunt returned, she was happy and told us that after dinner, she would tell us where she'd been. It was a secret. After dinner, we hurried out and got settled on the front porch where we could enjoy the cool evening air. "Now for the secret," we exclaimed, looking at Aunt Margaret. "Before I start," said Aunt Margaret, "what exactly were you two doing outside a few nights ago?" We jumped with surprise. How did she know? Had she seen us? "Promise me that you'll never do such a thing again," Aunt Margaret said sternly. We promised. "You wonder how I know," my aunt went on. "Well, yesterday while you were visiting Terry, his mother came here. She came to see me because she wanted to pay for the apples she had been stealing from us this summer. She feels as though the Good Shepherd is calling her, but she didn't want to ask him to find her and forgive her until she had paid me." There was a long silence. We waited. "I am very proud of you both for the way you've helped her. She told me what you've done," Aunt Margaret continued. I put my head in her lap and she hugged me gently. When Terry's mother had gone, I think the Good Shepherd spoke to me too. I have not thought about him for a long while, but last night he showed me what to do. Aunt Margaret seemed really excited. "I went to see Terry today. That poor, poor child," Aunt Margaret said sadly. "So I decided that Terry and his mother should come and live with us. God made me think about that extra bedroom that we have, the one with the beautiful view. It's not being used, as you know. God also reminded me about the money I have in the bank that isn't helping anyone in there. So, day after tomorrow, Terry and his mother will come and live here for a while," Aunt Margaret announced happily. I jumped for joy. What a happy secret! "May we help fix up the room for Terry?" Philip asked. "Yes, we'll all help tomorrow. But now, it's off to bed for you two," Aunt Margaret said, giving each of us a hug. So we hustled off to bed, and she told us we didn't have to wash, except for our hands and our faces, because it was late, which was certainly a perfect end to a perfect day.